Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs. Hi guys, welcome to episode 99. Is communicating with past loved ones evidence of infinite human potential? This is a question that we want to open up to you, and we can't wait for you to hear the show. We're talking all about information that we've received by our own experiences when it comes to connecting with past loved ones. We hope that you enjoy the show. Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Today is all about the question, is connecting and communicating with past loved ones evidence of
infinite human potential?
Exactly. I know my answer.
My answer is yes.
And my
yes,
answer
it is.
Definitely yes.
Absolutely yes, it is. And throughout this episode, you'll learn why I believe this, or why I see life this way, and why Lindsay sees it this way too. It wasn't like we just woke up one day and thought about this idea. It was like, this comes from our experiences and in our careers, and I think in our everyday life too.
Right. And I think that's a big thing, is to think about really how much of your brain are you actually using, because it is really common. We go to school, we know as teachers in the public school system, when we used to teach, you're going with the basic studies. You don't learn about intuition. You don't learn about communicating with the other side. You don't learn about really what there is to learn. So we're only using some of our brain in a lot of situations.
Right, and that's a big perspective we're coming from, is we both, a lot of you know, some of you may not, that we both taught in the public schools. And the reason why I became a teacher is because I was inspired to tap into my potential through education, through actually self-education, and I wanted to inspire other students to do the same. So I've been fascinated by human potential and how to unlock it within each person, meaning how to figure out how to help somebody start to live into their passions, start to live into things that they actually want to create rather than things that they don't want to create. That's part of what I will say is tapping into your infinite potential. So combining that perspective with, over the last 8 or 9 years for me personally, I've been communicating with past loved ones and seeing what that's done to my soul and to my experience and to my perspective on this earthly realm. To me, 100%, I'm using more of my human potential when I'm connecting with past loved ones.
Yeah, and I see it, because when we are connecting, and whether we're going out doing our regular thing, we're going to the, I don't go to the grocery store. I was going to say going to the grocery store.
You do like once every 6 months. But
yeah,
so
probably. Tony is the one that likes to go grocery shopping. I don't. But if we're doing our regular things, it could be a bike ride, it could be a road trip. We include our past loved ones in that whole atmosphere.
Well, they include themselves, I feel like, a lot of times. But we do. We leave ourselves open to it. Yeah,
we're opening up to it, because constantly your past loved ones are with you, and they're watching over you. But once you tune in and you become aware, you can open up to a communication with them. And I think the big thing is when we open up to that communication, we are opening up to more possibilities in living a fulfilling life. Because with communication with our past loved ones, I've noticed a huge difference. If we're going through something, we're going through a difficult time, once we open up to receive guidance or feelings of love, just knowing that we're supported, everything shifts.
And you know what? That's powerful. And you know what that reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of getting coaching from people. Getting, like, even from your friends, not just from people that are called coaches, but like, what does that remind you of? You're getting insight. So when you're connecting in with your past loved ones, they're able to see from a 360 view your life, and then the other realm and everything else that I wouldn't even be able to talk about because I can't see that right now.
Yeah.
They're able to see all of that, and then through energy, through inspiration, through however you communicate with your past loved one, they're able to communicate guidance, like you were talking about.
Right.
So my point of saying that is, to me, that's helping you tap into more of your infinite potential, because they're coaching you that way.
Exactly. And I don't know if I shared this on the podcast. I know I shared it with you. But I have a friend that passed away recently, and she came through during a visitation with me. And she was telling me different things that she was doing, and it was like we were hanging out, just talking. And one of the things she said was she was dropping song lyrics through to her cousin. Because she said, we go into people and we inspire them to create. We help them create. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I knew that musicians were tapped in and they were channeling information, but I didn't think anything else too much into it. I knew it, but hearing it in the way that I did from her, it was pretty interesting. So I said, do you need me to get anything out there for you? Like as a whole, like as a universe, they're on the other side. They're trying to plant things to make this world better for us. And she's like, oh, no, don't worry. My cousin has that. I downloaded that into her. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, I don't know her cousin personally, so I didn't say anything. But if it comes up where I naturally start talking and communicating with her cousin, she's connected to me on Facebook, but I don't know her personally. But I knew without a doubt when I get that information, like that's really interesting, because I feel like you do that with music. You get inspired to sing and to play the piano and the guitar. And
I definitely do with music, and with basketball, the sports that I've been playing my whole life. Basketball, it's the same thing. When I'm playing music with my friend, all of a sudden I'll be singing or rapping and I'll channel like awesome lyrics and it'll sound good and everything will be perfect in that moment. Not the whole time, but different parts. And I'll notice the difference between, wow, I just channeled, that was like some higher energy compared to whatever the other stuff is. I don't know what the other stuff is that I'm doing. But yeah, definitely, I'm channeling energy. And then when I'm playing sports, it was the same way. Like I would be playing basketball and it's like you're in another realm out there and you're not really thinking about what you're doing and something else is playing for you.
Exactly. It is like an autopilot type of feeling where you're like, what just happened? Kind of like when you're driving down the highway and you're on exit 1 and you're like, how did I get to exit 20? You don't even know how it happened. No,
you're just like, you're just on automatic mode. I look journaling too a lot that will happen with people. So where all of a sudden you get in this flow to where you've been writing for like 10 minutes straight and you have a whole page and you don't even know where it came from.
I know.
But then again, now that you're aware of it, you do know where it came from. It came from another realm. And you could feel the difference. And I think that's the biggest thing. Wouldn't you say is feeling would be the biggest thing and knowing the difference between channeling it from another realm compared to, or like from a higher, exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes our higher self is the one that's a part of creating too.
Right.
Which I feel like it is a different feeling. It feels completely different because when we're thinking humanly, things are difficult. It's a hassle. It's not free flowing.
Yeah, you start to notice the difference, the subtle differences between everything, between your higher self, past loved ones, and all of those different things. And guardian angels or whatever else you want to call them. What else are they called?
Oh, you mean like guides and stuff? Yeah.
And like, you start to know, and it's like, how do you know the difference between all of those? And it's one of those things you just know. Exactly. You know,
and then sometimes you get goosebumps on the side of your head if you feel physical sensations, and other times it's just a feeling in your heart. The other thing I noticed too is if you have some things that were left unsaid with past loved ones, if you wanted to, you could stop living right there. You could just end your life. You could be like, oh, I'm done with
Well, that
really
happens a lot.
Fully.
There's a lot of people living like that right now.
Yeah, but then when they come and they either get a reading, a mediumship reading, I've seen it in clients, or they are able to receive signs from their loved ones, or they have a visitation, or they open up for the communication, all of a sudden something lifts from them. And it doesn't bring them physically back, but it does something to their well-being, and they start living from really like a heart-centered space, and there's a different energy that they bring and carry with them throughout life. Haven't you noticed that?
I notice that every single time with me, and then with clients, with people that I've came across, friends that I've come across that have shared their experiences, the same story.
Exactly, and I think the big thing is we see these pieces of evidence, whether it's through signs or feelings or just having that inner knowing, and then we could easily drop it and think, is that really real? And you have to go to someone else and say, listen to this situation, what do you think about it? Now, sometimes you'll have a mix of people. They'll say, wow, without a doubt, that is your loved one. And then other people will say, well, it's just a coincidence. It's important to trust.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, you have to experience it. You can't just think about it or study it or watch a podcast episode. It's one of the things you must experience, right? In order to believe. Like, in order to fully believe, like, okay.
Or you witness something else.
Well, that's part of experiencing, right?
Right.
Like
if it's not directly linked.
Yeah, like if you're in front of somebody, like if you're at a
audience.
Yeah, if you're at a Messages from Heaven event, absolutely. But to me, that's an experience as well. But yeah, for sure, if you're at a Messages from Heaven event, if you're at an event and if you're just in the space of somebody getting a reading, and it's authentically happening, you feel it, and it moves you, and it does something to you to where it opens you up.
That's so true, and it's reminding me, Tony and I have been studying Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's amazing, and he's a scientist. He does everything evidence-based, and so many different things have been happening in his seminars where he's leading people through meditations that bring them to a state of ecstasy and just getting outside of their human self, and miracles are taking place. And he did a study where he put different monitors on the participants in the workshop, and he knew that the atmosphere in a room shifts when there's massive shifts taking place internally with each person. And you could feel, when you go into a certain room and you're like, a miracle took place in there.
You could totally feel.
You could feel it in the Messages energy. From Heaven events. When mediums are delivering
and when
messages.
It's like a high, like from lower to real high, you totally notice the big distinctions. It's like cold or hot.
Right. Well, he did a study, and people would leave his workshops and say, oh my gosh, the energy is amazing in there. And he's like, yeah, I know it's amazing, but I want proof. And it showed in his research that something shifted in the atmosphere when miracles took place. So I think that's proof in itself that no matter what, even if you go into a space where you don't believe in something, the atmosphere is going to shift and something's going to shift within you, where when you do have that experience, like you mentioned, you just know.
Right. So if you're pulled to a certain event, no matter what the event is, as long as you're not like harming people or anything, go to that event. Yeah. I would say, because you could get this, you could not just connect with past loved ones, but any type of experience.
It could be a meditation.
You don't really know. Like once you experience something differently, it could bring you to another realm. Not necessarily where you're communicating with past loved ones, but now you're in the other realm, to where Joe Dispenza talks about, like when you're creating from that quantum realm, things happen really quick. So if you want to know how to manifest things like quickly, which we all do, why wouldn't you want to know that? Then you really want to know how to get in that flow state into that other realm. And experiences like Joe Dispenza's seminars and workshops, our workshops and masterminds that we do.
Yeah, you could feel
anything
something.
That you're pulled to, if you come together with people, you could really feel the changes happening quickly.
And no matter what, you don't leave the same. If you go into a space like that, it's a healing space where miracles are occurring and there's something that's shifting in the atmosphere, no matter what you do, you can't go back from that the same.
No, you can't deny it. It's one of those things that you experience it, you can no longer say, well, I don't believe that could happen. It's like it happened.
Yeah.
So you can't go back. It happened.
And I find, like, with the full potential, when we're talking about that, really as humans living in our full potential and thinking outside of the box, because it would be crazy if we think that we're the only ones that exist on this earth. I mean, there's something shifting around. There's momentum moved. We can't see it, but it's happening in our business, our life, relationships. We notice patterns. We notice stars. Some stars we can't see, but there's stuff that's happening around us. And I think that if we tap into opening up to what we can receive, not just waiting for it, but open communication. Like, okay, hey, I am open to receive. I'm going to start doing my own little investigations and have the conversation with my past loved ones, see what comes about from it. You're going to start to notice things shift with your personal life. And I believe that we all get to the same destination, but it's like a GPS. We're never going to go to the wrong direction, but we might see different signs along the way. And I feel like we can get there in an easier, more harmonious route if we follow those nudges, whether it's from our past loved ones or intuition. Yeah,
and just being open, if you're not open yourself into doing all of that, open to hearing like our story, our experiences, and other people's authentic experiences with all of this. Because I think once you start to listen, and this goes with any kind of topic, because we're talking about past loved ones here and tapping into infinite potential, but there's a lot of ways to tap into infinite potential. So just leaving your mind open to experiencing different ways of viewing the world, and experience and listening to other people's experiences. Like, one of my favorite things to do is to watch biographies or listen to interviews and learn about people's lives and where they came from and how they got to their journey and all of that. Because you start to learn different perspectives and different ways of viewing the world. For example, some people communicate with past loved ones and they'll share that in their story, and others will share other things that you may not have done.
Exactly. And sometimes when you don't trust it yourself, but you trust the person that you're watching,
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking of Oprah. She's someone that I've always thought that she's a very, I don't know, she's not going to just say something. She really truly means it, or she's done her own research. So when she shares stuff about intuition, a lot of people will think, okay, if Oprah says it, then I'm going to open up my mind a little bit differently. So think about those things that can come through. And what's going to start happening is when you're creating something for your business or for different things in your life, if you really do tap into that other realm, you're going to notice, you're going to see some similarities around you. Because I noticed certain things come up. Like today, I was actually typing a post for Instagram about succulents. And I had this feeling like I needed to share about the plant succulents.
Our plants on the patio?
Yeah, the plants on the patio, because I was sitting out there just relaxing after my readings today. And then I was about to type it up, or I was typing up on my notepad, and then I saw something on Ohm Times. I didn't read it, but it said succulents. So I'm like, there's something in the energy that's people are tapping into similar things at the same time. So like angels came up the other day. Angels were everywhere. Everyone was talking about angels. So these things people are tuning in at the same time when they're really open to receive. But think about that. Have any miracles taken place for you where you've tapped into the other side and you felt different when you did it? Okay, so we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.